We are back with yet another Path of Exile 2 build. The Acolyte of CHAYULA is arguably one of the most underwhelming and unpopular classes in Path of Exile 2. Its mechanics seem clunky, its defenses are unreliable, and its offensive potential is overshadowed by many other classes that perform far better with less effort. It's a class that struggles to find an identity, let alone an optimized playstyle, but that's where this build comes in. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a build that fully embraces the Acolyte of CHAYULA's unique strengths and pushes them to their limit, turning what many consider a weak option into a viable, high damage, and surprisingly effective playstyle. This build revolves around Flicker Strike, one of the game's most chaotic, inconsistent, yet potentially devastating movement-based melee attacks. Fully polished yet, and its performance is all over the place. Sometimes you'll teleport through entire packs of enemies, shredding them instantly. Other times, the ability breaks after a single animation or locks onto a distant enemy, completely killing your momentum. This unpredictability makes Flicker Strike a risky choice, especially on a class that doesn't have a strong safety net. But instead of fighting against these flaws, we've built around them, harnessing the Acolyte's innate strengths in chaos and poison damage, pairing it with Tempest Flurry, and ensuring that our charge generation is as consistent as possible. This build doesn't turn the Monk into a top tier class, but it does make it a much more reasonable option, one that's not just playable, but genuinely fun. Let's get into the details. This poison build aims at maximizing not only the potential of Acolyte of CHAYULA's bonus chaos damage, but also the Mantra of Destruction buff, which applies only to a single attack after accumulating sufficient combo points. It can massively boost the damage of all the additional Flicker strike. Not only it can hit up to 17 times with each attack, but a well-timed Flicker Strike will easily build up 10 Purple Flames of CHAYULA stacks, giving you 140% extra gained chaos damage. Even with relatively short duration, it can be still put to some good use. Flicker Strike is but a finisher move, and has to be timed well, so you are going to deal with most enemies using Tempest Flurry. This build offers a similar playstyle to your regular Quarterstaff builds, but instead of stacking Elemental Herald explosions, you will spread poisons with Herald of Plague. All your attacks will deal greatly increased chaos damage due to the ascendancy choices, and both the damage you deal directly and chaos damage from poison will be affected by various passive on the skill tree, greatly increasing your overall DPS. Tempest Flurry is your main damaging ability, which is used to kill most enemies including rares, or even weaker bosses. Flicker Strike is a finisher move that should be used against bigger packs or the toughest enemies. It will often one-shot bosses when fully buffed. For the defenses, this is a hybrid build with a high chance to evade attacks, 85% chaos resistance, and a very good self-sustain thanks to the CHAYULA Flames, overall making it a very solid pick for any type of player. This build offers moderate clear speed, limited by the nature of melee playstyle, further enhanced by spreading poisons and occasional Flicker Strikes. Your single target DPS output is very situational, and depends on how efficiently you can execute Flicker Strike on specific bosses. You will one-shot them often, but with bad luck, the fight can take way longer. This build is cheap with just 2 inexpensive unique items required. All other items are rares with generic defensive stats. This build is quite easy to assemble. The 2 only mandatory uniques are cheap low-level ones. Plague Finger, which greatly increases the poison DPS of your main attacks. It's also recommended to get Serpent's Egg, which doubles your charge generation. This pair of gloves allows you to inflict poison with all types of damage, including elemental. This is particularly important for the DPS of Tempest Flurry, your main damaging ability. It's a cheap item, so it's recommended to get a pair with 30% chance to poison and 2 rune sockets. Serpent's Egg, a must-have amulet that doubles your charge generation, which is the main limiting factor to this build's true potential. For the anointment, take Giant Slayer if you don't have capped poison chance, or Reaching Strike to make your attacks much smoother and improve Flicker Strike targeting. Ingenuity is the best in slot item for most builds in the game, including this one. Rings have a much better mod pool than any belt does, offering you insane bonuses if you make extra investments into your rings. This build is quite easy to assemble, as it mainly consists of typical rares with defensive stats and high physical damage weapon. You will also need extra spirit on your body armor to use the herald and defensive and utility auras. Other than that, stack as much defensive stats like life, energy shield, and evasion rating on most of the pieces. For the weapon, simply define your budget and try looking for the highest physical DPS weapon you can afford. Extra attack speed, critical hit chance, or any elemental damage is a nice addition here. For the rare helmet, find a hybrid base with at least 100% total elemental resistances. Some extra mana or life will also come in handy. You should get a rare pair of boots with 25%, or preferably 30%, bonus movement speed. You should also get a high evasion rating, energy shield, resistances, and attributes. Get 2 rare rings that roll flat added damage, but also provide necessary attributes and resistances. You should also get mana leech or mana per enemy killed to help your mana sustain on at least one of those. Belt is a simple case. There is one useful prefix, maximum life, and maybe maximum mana or flask modifiers. What you want are resistances, charm slots, and maybe strength. On the rare body armor, look for the highest maximum evasion and energy shield with extra life and spirit. Extra resistances or attributes are also a good addition here. One of your jewels should be a ruby with extra rage generation on melee hits. Other mods can boost melee damage or empowered attacks. You need 3 emeralds with a chance to inflict poison, possibly all at 10%. Other valuable bonuses are magnitude of poisons, damage with quarterstaffs, critical hit chance for attacks, or evasion rating. Tempest Flurry is your primary attack that will be used against pretty much all enemies to either kill them directly or generate charges and combo points. To maximize those effects, support this gem with Inspiration, Martial Tempo, Rage, and Practiced Combo. Innovate is very good here, as it will increase the damage of all your other attacks too. If you don't have issues with mana, you can replace Inspiration with Conduction for shock chance or Crescendo for higher damage. Flicker Strike should be treated as your finishing move and should be executed when you have maximum charges available and Mantra of Destruction active, for simply devastating one-shots against bosses and tougher enemies. You are looking to maximize the DPS of this skill as you are going to use it with delays, making supports like Inevitable Critical, Rage Forged, and Combo Finisher particularly powerful. You should also use Close Combat and Heavy Swing, which have basically no downsides in this setup. Mantra of Destruction is a powerful buff skill that empowers your next melee attack if you spend combo points. It is particularly powerful with Flicker Strike as the massive bonus will apply to all consecutive hits. Premeditation is the most important support here, others being completely optional. Herald of Thunder is used to trigger lightning bolts after you kill shocked enemies. In this build, it's used to electrocute enemies with those hits, generating power charges for your Flicker Strike. Support it with Lightning Infusion, Lightning Mastery, Electrocute, and optionally Neural Overload. Charge Staff empowers your weapon with added lightning damage and causes shockwaves when you attack. You must keep this buff up at all times, which spends your power charges. You can refresh its duration with max stacks, even if you cast it with less. Its primary role in this build is to quickly apply Withered debuff on enemies and add some extra lightning damage to your attacks. Wind Dancer grants a stackable buff that increases your evasion rating. The buff is removed when you are hit, damaging enemies and knocking them back. Support it with Blind, Maim, and Culling Strike, as those effects will apply to Wind Dancer when it hits enemies. Combat Frenzy grants a power charge when you freeze, electrocute, or pin an enemy. With Resonance Keystone allocated, it will generate power charges to fuel your other abilities. It's a mandatory skill for this build. Sniper's Mark will increase your critical damage bonus, and you will gain a Frenzy Charge, converted to Power Charge, when you critically hit a marked enemy. Self-casting this ability on bosses will be your main source of power charges. Support it with Arcane Tempo and Ingenuity for convenience. Into the Breach is an exclusive buff available only to Acolyte of CHAYULA. It creates the CHAYULA flames for various bonuses around your character. You don't need to activate this ability if you have the Ascendancy point allocated, but it's worth noting that you can link basically all persistent auras to it without any extra reservation cost. Herald of Plague spreads the most powerful poison from slain enemies, increasing your clear speed. Unfortunately, there aren't any actual support gems you can use here to boost the skill's effect. The choices you make after completing Valley of the Titans and the Venom Crypt quests during the campaign aren't that important. Initially, you might find mana recovery, mana regeneration, and attributes to be much more useful, but at higher levels, it's recommended to take Stun Threshold, Charm Charges Gain, and Chaos Resistances. Either way, the impact of those on your actual gameplay is very slim, so don't worry if you select something else. Alright, so on the passive tree, we're grabbing pretty much all the Critical Strike, Power Charge, and Poison nodes. But early on, when your character is still low level, these won't really make a huge difference. Instead, just focus on standard elemental attacks to get through the early grind. For the early game, toss in Tempest Bell and some passives like Tenfold Attacks, Essence of the Storm, Wild Storm, and Exposed to the Storm. These are refundable later, so don't stress about committing to them. Now when you get to the final tree, the Chaos Circle above Resonance Keystone is a game changer. It boosts chaos damage by over 100% with almost no downsides, because let's be real, you're not even using chaos skills, and your chaos resistance is doubled. One thing we can't stress enough, Spectral Ward passive is super important for defense, especially if you manage to snag high roll body armor with solid evasion. And when you're closing in on level 95, you can grab the last power charge from Power Within, or, depending on your gear, Throatseeker might give you a bigger damage boost. For the Ascendancy passives, just pick Waking Dream and Lucid Dreaming first. The extra recovery and damage from flames is very useful during the campaign. The other two can be taken in any order. We hope that you are going to enjoy this build as much as we did. To stay up to date with new videos, make sure to subscribe to our channel. See you soon.